Today, we answer the question, how hard is it to really use a Google Pixel? Let's begin. Now, this video is kinda easy to rant and dog on Mark for, but I gotta admit, I was kinda sad to see this, because I've been a longtime fan and viewer of Mark Rober. I love the whole, elephant toothpaste videos in the past. He actually shot one of those really close to my hometown, and I loved his videos on how drones were being used in Africa, and of course, the countless glitter bomb videos. So entertaining, so insightful, and just seems like an overall fun channel with a fun guy in charge of it. But this video is getting a lot of backlash, and I have to admit, kind of rightfully so. Now I understand the main focus on the video was showcasing that you can trick a vision-based system with, a painted wall versus a LiDAR system, which is of course measuring more distances than just the visual light spectrum. It's measuring actual hard surfaces, and I feel like there was a bit of a financial interest at play. I don't think that it was necessarily a sponsored video because it wasn't disclosed, but I do think there were partnerships in the past, and Luminar, the company that he partnered with to make this video, had an earnings report coming up, and it felt very, very convenient for them to be like, let's showcase an example of where Luminar outshines the Tesla system, right before our earnings reports, and obviously the company's not performing all that great, but the stock did respond quite positively to Mark's video going up, so I don't want to spend all day speculating because yes, he didn't even use the latest full self-driving software, and it didn't even appear to be active at the time of impact. You can zoom in on the footage and figure out that, yeah, he was probably stepping on the accelerator pedal or deactivating the system, likely trying to get the Tesla to go through the wall. But that's not the point I wanted to highlight in this video, because this is more of a tech channel, right? We talk about iPhones and Google Pixels, and people very quickly realized that in the reflection of some of the shots inside the car, you can see very clearly the classic iPhone triple camera stovetop design, and yet behind him there's a Google Pixel there. So why the heck does the Google Pixel turn into an iPhone within its reflection? Well, as it turns out from zooming in on this, we can figure out from the case design, which makes absolutely no sense on a Pixel, that the cutout for the camera bump goes way beyond the actual positions of the cameras, that, well, Mark actually shot a lot of this on an iPhone, but because he's done sponsored videos for the Google Pixel just a couple of months ago, so he's officially part of the TeamPixel that I tried so desperately to be a part of. I was willing to switch. I told people I would throw out my iPhone. I told people I was ready to switch because I was fed up with Apple. I wanted the better AI features with Gemini, and I've reviewed Pixels on this channel without a sponsorship, mind you, telling you straight up that I thought the Pixel had the better camera. I ended up sticking with iPhone because I didn't want my credit score to drop, because I would have to say goodbye to the Apple Card if I moved to Google. But outside of that, there were many times where I was like, I'm so close to ditching iOS. I love the Pixel. The video quality is great. The photo quality is great. It's not just the pictures anymore. So many people had that mindset of, well, Pixels are good at photo, but iPhone is good at video. No, I straight up disagree. All phones are good at both these days, but the Pixel I found coming out a little bit ahead, a little bit more rich in contrast and detail, and I was ready to make the switch. It was easier to interface with my Zoom microphone with the Pixel than it was my iPhone. So I guess that's why this upsets me so much, is because it's a content creator that I really love and I've been watching for a long time, and he's part of TeamPixel, which I'm super jealous of. I've been trying to get into TeamPixel all this time, and yet he's in there, and then he still freaking uses an iPhone. Now I think if he would have just used an iPhone as an additional camera in the video, not that many people would have noticed or cared. Maybe it would have got a couple hundred comments on this, 10 million view video that says, hey, I thought you were sponsored by TeamPixel. Why do you still use an iPhone? It would have been so much easier for him to just write that off as, oh, it was a friend's phone, or I still have my iPhone and I still have a Pixel. I keep them both around for different use cases. There would have been so much better justifications for there to just be an iPhone in the video where an iPhone is used. But instead, what they did was they digitally added a Google Pixel looking device on top of the iPhone in order to not step on the toes of the TeamPixel sponsorship. In case you missed my rant from earlier last year where I explained how TeamPixel has gotten much more selective about who they let in, maybe this is part of the contract. Maybe the new rules, if you are a part of TeamPixel, is that you're not allowed to be seen in any of your videos or online anywhere using an iPhone. You have to be always showing a Pixel, which is why what I think he did in the video is kind of the worst case scenario for both parties. For one, it's deceptive to your audience to be like, oh yeah, I love the Google Pixel, it's a great phone, I use it all the time, and then you don't. So you either don't believe that or you're just saying it for the money, which I guess people have expensive lifestyles these days, and I know for a fact that YouTube AdSense isn't what it used to be, so maybe budgets have gotten inflated, and to try to keep revenues solid, we have to kind of fudge the numbers a little bit and start taking sponsorships for things we don't actually believe in. I'm against that, but I respect other guys for, you know, the hustle, I suppose. But what's even worse is that, like, you're disregarding and failing to abide by the terms that Google actually paid you for. So basically, on the advertising side, you're ticking off your sponsor a bit, because this is clearly not a good look for TeamPixel. If the guy who you're paying a bunch of money to promote is not actually interested in using the real product and is now getting caught trying to fake it so that it looks like he's using a Pixel, you can tell from the reflection and the fact that the Google logo is in landscape mode. This ticks me off from so many levels, because I'm just like, look, even if you're gonna fake that this is a Pixel, they did a pretty good job trying to stitch that visor design on top of clearly an iPhone camera case. But if you're not gonna rotate the Google logo along with it, you just did kind of a bad job at it. So maybe this would have been slightly more justifiable if you faked it and got away with it, but you're disrespecting your sponsor who's paying you and supporting you and saying, here's this money, we're giving you this so that you can showcase how great our product is, and we want you to showcase that you use our product, the Google Pixel, to make your videos happen, and yet you still don't do that, but you want everyone to think you do that, to the point that I was really hopeful that he would come forward and just explain a couple of things. This happened a few days ago, right? I'm not the first person to talk about this video, but I was hoping through all of the backlash and all the responses he was getting, he would at least be a little motivated to come forward and say like, hey, you know what? I outsource my editing because I run a big operation, and my editor thought it would be a good idea to put a Pixel on top of an iPhone. It wasn't verified by me. I didn't approve that, but I let it slip through the cracks. It's my bad. My apologies. But no, that was never said. At least at the time of recording this, that was never disclosed, which I have to believe means that he's aware that this is going on. He has to know that his editor is doing this, especially considering how much traction it's generating online. It's indirectly an incredibly great promotion for iPhones, right? Apple's really happy to hear about this, rather than just switch to a Google Pixel phone for recording a video. It'd be the easiest thing in the world, right? You already got the smartphone mount, it's already attached to the car and everything. Just throw in a Pixel and hit record, and then you can easily offload that footage onto a Mac. I've done it 100 times and edit it into your video. Instead of just putting a Pixel in there and pressing record, he found it easier to put an iPhone in there and then digitally add a Google Pixel back with the logo, with the camera bump, stitch it in there, Photoshop it around the camera case. No, apparently having your editor or whoever do all of that work to make it look like it's a Pixel so that you retain your TeamPixel status, I guess that's the better option. I'm just more shocked and disappointed that he still wants to keep using an iPhone in the first place. Google, if you were paying me, for TeamPixel, I would treat you so much better. I would sell out so hard. I'd be getting tattoos. I would not be having iPhones sitting around in the background that I'd be digitally changing to make into Google Pixels. No, I would straight up use one. My SIM would be moved over. I would get my wife to use one. I would switch to a Pixel watch. I'd be rocking Pixel buds. You can do so much better, TeamPixel. That's what I'm really trying to tell you here. And Mark, I think you gotta rethink your priorities a little bit. If you're literally trying to deceive your audience and your sponsors, you're just kind of ticking off everyone. And I know money is nice, but integrity and honesty is just way nicer. Good lesson my grandma taught me when I was 6 years old. So I understand we have debts and maybe the business has ballooned up in expenses, but maybe it's time to scale down, scale back a little bit if these are the kinds of compromises you have to make in order for a video to work. Felt like there was a narrative going into it like the Tesla has to crash. And for the record, this is not just a debate about Tesla thinks cameras is enough and Luminar and everybody else uses LiDAR. No, for the record, record, Rivian, the next profitable EV manufacturer, also removed LiDAR from their vehicles because they believe a camera-based system could perform better. And XPeng in China also has started removing LiDAR because they believe using AI and machine learning, you can actually get very, very reliable and safe self-driving features just by using cameras alone. Now, I have my own doubts about robotaxis. I have my own skepticism around whether or not they're actually going to achieve level 5 autonomy in Teslas. Personally, I kind of doubt it. I think it's going to be very limited in the regions it works, and they're still probably going to have issues because cameras can be obstructed so easily, and I've seen issues with salt buildup and rain, and sometimes my car doesn't want to drive just when the sun hits it the right way. So I'm not trying purely to defend Tesla here, but the way the comparison was done was clearly biased towards Luminar, and we have lots of evidence that AI can even detect the Wile E. Coyote-like paintings and figure out there's an object there, even if it doesn't look like there is. And I've been watching a lot of videos over the years on Tesla's full self-driving, and I have my doubts on whether or not it can actually be safer than a human. But in all my videos, most of the time when it fails, it's not an issue with perception. It's not an issue that it wants to drive into a tree or it wants to drive into a wall. Usually that's not the problem. It's usually a problem of action. It doesn't go when it's supposed to go, or it goes through an intersection when it's not supposed to go through an intersection. And those types of situations that I'm seeing are the edge cases with full self-driving. Those wouldn't be solved by LiDAR. LiDAR is just another means of figuring out the distance between the car and its nearby objects. I'm sure there are actually some decent use cases though where LiDAR would be more beneficial and more helpful than cameras. I just thought the Luminar demo was ridiculous. No one's going to be driving down the road and have, you know, a fake wall that's painted to look exactly like the actual setting of the background. That just makes it feel like you're running out of options and you're trying to come up with reasons as to why we need LiDAR, but there's use cases for LiDAR for sure. Discovering smaller objects like pipes and poles or preventing the car from running into curbs or nearby vehicles. There's so many great demos for where LiDAR could be helpful compared to just cameras, but this was just a horrible one. I guess it was trying to be more entertaining, but timing it so close to the release of the earnings report and seeing the big stock boost, I just think this is kind of icky, and the Google Pixel thing makes it even worse somehow. But what do you guys think? Should Mark issue a statement or an apology? Do you think everything is justified and this is just for entertainment purposes? Feel free to let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below, and thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. This is your Apple Shape here, and I will see you all in the next one.